Hello, everybody. Welcome to week 3. So, a few things to be done this week. I'm going to drag things over to a different window so I can both look at you and me and see things. Okay, so in case you're wondering, my race yesterday or last weekend went reasonably well. I'm competing against kids, so I was the second oldest person in the group of 43. I finished 33rd, I think. Let me see those numbers again. Yes, 33rd. Only 37 of us finished, so 6 people dropped out. So, it is what it is. Hardest bike ride of my maybe life yesterday, 64 miles of racing. But anyhow, that's what crazy people do sometimes, or English teachers or something like that. So let's see, let's get on to the things, the reason you're here. So I got a few emails and I see that I created some confusion with the draft summary assignment. So that was kind of redundant. It created confusion the way I had worded it, and I saw that it was unnecessary, so I just eliminated it. When you do your annotations and group summaries, you'll have basically been doing the same thing, so I'm not going to have you do it again and submit it for the sake of submitting it, so I deleted that. I did take the information from that. If you look at this week's module, it has the summary and response assignment. I'll review that. I think it's pretty clear. There's now the summary formatting and guidelines. And so I rolled in the informational material from the draft summary exercise to that. So there is a sort of sample formatted summary for you. Pretty much you will take the group summaries you did. If you want to revise your group summaries for the summary and response material, feel free. There's always compromises made when you work together, or some of you may have had one person in your group do one summary, another person do the other summary, and a third person do the third summary, and you may just want to change it. And so do that. You are free to do that. This is your work. I'm more concerned with you doing good jobs of restatement, keeping your opinion out, that sort of thing. And I'll look at that with your summary response draft, which is due Friday at midnight. So hopefully that clears up the confusion. The summary response assignment is there this week. It just tells you a few things. Not a whole lot there. The summary formatting and guidelines tells you what I'm hoping for in a summary, how to move from annotations to summary, and then a sample summary for you. After that is a paragraph for your response or discussion points, illustration. I really encourage this paragraph formatting. It will work in almost every situation you encounter with writing. It's very traditional, very Aristotelian, who gave us the rhetorical triangle. I mean, it goes back thousands of years and it still works, and our brains seem to like it. I mean, basically, it's a topic sentence, the importance of the topic, examples to illustrate it, and then this is not Aristotelian, but it comes from another rhetorician philosopher by the name of Stephen Tolman, and what is called the Tolman model of logic, which takes Aristotle a step further by tying the paragraph, the material, back to the thesis. So you want your topic sentence, if you're looking at, maybe you can go to the assignment paragraph guidelines, what's the point? Readers need to know what is the point, and it's really, if you're discussing something of concern with somebody, you need to be clear, what is the point? Following up, what's the point? Why does it matter? And sometimes I say, in the example, it says importance of the topic. I often say, why might this be of importance or interest? And so either way, and if it's of importance or interest to you, that's good enough. That's usually more than good enough. So I don't think this has to be some I need to save the world importance. It's why is this of interest or importance to you, the writer, the student, and spell that out, and you'll be good. You then need an example with this assignment from your experience and a supporting example from the readings you've chosen to use. And so you'll just need to find what works. It doesn't matter to me, and I don't know, it'll be different for each of you, whether you put your personal example first, followed by the source material, or the source material is used to set up your personal example. The order of those two is flexible. You need to figure out which works better for you in that regard. So, and basically the way to do it is to write it and then fiddle around with copy and paste, move one back to the in front and in back, and see what works best. So that's it. So we've got the topic, sentence, why, what is it I'm talking about? We've got the importance of the topic. Here's why it matters. We've got the examples from the readings, from your experience. This is the evidence without which you can't have any kind of good paper. So, so you need to have that evidence in there. Finally, you wrap up your paper or your paragraph, excuse me. It says, why does this matter in the bigger picture in my sample paragraph? This is called the warrant. And this is, warrant is defined as a statement that establishes a reasonable relationship between the data, which is the material of your paragraph, and the claim, which is your thesis statement. So you always want to loop back, tie things back to the thesis. I usually describe this as if you watch any kind of courtroom drama or you've been in court or what have you, never does a lawyer say to the jury or the judge, here's the evidence, go figure it out. They say, here's the evidence, and this is what it means, and this is why you should think whatever it is I want you to think about it. So that's that warrant. It connects the dots for your reader. If you don't, as the writer, do the dot connecting, usually one of two things will happen. The first is nothing. The reader won't even bother to try. They'll just read it, move on to the next point, and maybe they'll give it some thought, maybe not. The second is they won't make the connection you envision them making. So you need to make that connection for them. I refer to this as a kind of mind control. You may not think of it that way, but when you have the reader read what you wrote, spelling out a connection that you see, you basically are in control of their mind at that point. And at that point, they have to actively disagree with you. So if you want to be persuasive, tell your reader what to think. Of course, it's got to work. It's got to, what's the point? Why does it matter? Where's the evidence? And here's what this all means. And so you can't, kind of jump ahead. You've got to set up that explanation. So explain how things go back together like that, and you'll do well. This is probably the hardest part of any kind of paragraph construction. So don't worry that you don't do it perfectly. You get chances to revise, and you will be revising, I assume, for the most part. And so it's okay. So if it's not great, it doesn't matter. We'll fix it up. So that's the paragraph structure, and that runs us through where to submit things. And once we get around to submitting things Friday, I will probably, if an essay comes in early, I will probably do a demonstration response if somebody volunteers and allows me to do that, so you can see what I'm expecting. I have pretty particular expectations, and when it comes to those expectations, if you don't do them up to my satisfaction, I guess, I'll ask you to redo them and tell you what I want to see happen, and then you'll end up getting your full credit for that kind of thing. So I'm not in any way meant to punish you for not getting it right the first time, but to say, okay, here's what you did, here's what I want to see you do. These responses are intended to help you give good feedback, but once you've given that feedback to others, it provides you an approach to critiquing your own papers and just helping yourself more. and that's one of our big goals here. So, but I'll go into that in greater detail at the end of this week. Yeah, I will, as soon as somebody submits an essay and I can do a practice response. So read through this week's material, the assignment. You've already done the bulk of your summary work. You need to only respond to 2 of the essays as you talk about your research experience and expectations, and you'll submit the draft by Friday at midnight. And with that, I will stop talking and say, get back to me with any questions. You know, I'm here to help. Somebody wrote and said, gee, I feel like I'm writing you too much. Well, you know, maybe that person would be the person coming up after class every day to ask for clarification. That's all good. That's why I'm here. That's what I'm paid to do. That's what you're paying for, all that kind of stuff. So don't hesitate to get in touch. Take care. Have a good week. Bye-bye.